Um, so a topic that has come up for me quite a bit this week, both in my personal world as well as supporting clients and with my work family and friends. It's a doozy. Like it's a real doozy. Um, the feeling, emotion, experience is powerlessness. It's like me and powerlessness, we got this love-hate relationship where I um well, first of all, sometimes for me it shows up a little bit like shame, and what I mean by that is I don't always recognize it immediately. Like I don't always recognize the reason I'm so triggered is because I feel powerless. Sometimes I'm in it for a little bit and then I'm like, "Oh, I feel really small." That's when I'm in it and don't see it immediately. Um, that's where it comes from because shame, maybe I'll do this one next week, but shame is that one primitive emotion that we don't recognize as humans. And so when I compare the two of those together, that's why it comes up for me that way. Powerlessness being a emotion that sometimes when I don't recognize it, it's because I feel so little. Oh shit. Am I frozen? Oh, okay. Thank you. I hate when that happens. I feel powerless. Get it? Sorry. I couldn't have even planned that good. Um, the reason that I want to talk about I feel little is number one, that's going to be one of the things that my team will teach you is sometimes we don't recognize feelings or emotions from a cognitive place. Sometimes we recognize feelings and emotions by the way they literally feel in our body. And so the way I teach shame is in my body, I usually feel like I want to punch somebody. And I always need a caveat that I've never hit anybody in my life, but boy, do I feel like I could. Um, or I feel like I want to be a fly on the wall so that nobody could see me. Like those are the two outcomes of shame. And so when we say, I want to teach how it feels in your body, that's what I mean by that. And in powerlessness, the way I recognize my body is I feel little. I feel like I have no tools, no resources. There's no way out. Um, and not so serious pressure release just for a second. I picture myself as Charlie. And if you don't know who that is, that's my Chiweenie that's 16 years old. And he goes, and he thinks he's a Rottweiler, but that's powerlessness. Like in my head, that's what I look like. I'm going after somebody, but I'm literally the size of a Chihuahua. Yeah. So makes sense why and how that would be scary. And powerlessness is associated with our inner child most of the time. There's a lot of grief work that we do about feeling powerless. In my own personal world this week, powerlessness came up quite a bit for both of my boys. They've both been really sick and they just feel yucky, right? Like they just feel bad. And it's really hard to hold ourselves together, hold my shit together when I don't feel good. And so for my boys, one of the things that came up was, yeah, you can't just walk over there and punch him. You know, like he didn't, but he said, I just want to go over there and punch him. And while part of me was a little pleased that he wasn't just going to take it. The other part of me was, wow, he feels really powerless because this one is not physical at all. Like he won't step on an ant, literally. So when he's talking about physical aggression, I just felt like Charlie, our Chiweenie, I felt like my little one was feeling like that. Like I can't get out of here, but I'm going to keep on barking and trying to bite anything that comes near me. So when we fell into powerlessness and we feel little, that's probably something that our inner child is familiar with, aware of, or has experienced. Children don't get a lot of power. They sure don't have a lot of authority. And if we look at powerlessness, even as an adult, well, there's a lot of it going on in our world right now. It's sickening how much of it is going on in our world right now. So unfortunately, it's not just children that feel powerless or our inner child that feels powerless, but it's also a state where if I wasn't taught how to protect myself, or I wasn't taught how to create safety when I feel unsafe, well, I'm probably going to keep acting out, because that's what Charlie does. My Chewini, he acts out, barking, and he tries to bite because he's afraid. It's not because he's aggressive. It's because he's 12 pounds and everybody and everything is bigger than him. So I want you to think about that. If it comes up for you and if it feels safe for you, a time that you felt powerless, and you don't have to go back to childhood, you can stay in your adult self, unfortunately, and think about like how that feels in your body. Think about how it shows up for you, whether it's that whoosh through your body, or your face gets red, or your heart starts beating faster, or maybe it's that 0 to 10 in like 2 seconds. Noticing how that powerlessness feels in our body. I'm not trying to justify and I'm not trying to rationalize. And that's why we act out, because we're trying to make that feeling go away. It doesn't feel good. It's vulnerable and it's scary. And if we feel powerless a lot, like if we're in a family system or a marriage or a relationship where we feel powerless, well, it's going to take a lot of numbing and medicating for me to stay there. Because sometimes we are in situations where I'd rather have this than have nothing. So powerlessness for some of us can be a very consistent, constant state, especially if it's not something that I know can recognize, or I know how to recreate emotional safety for myself. And I want to offer you the opportunity to consider, this is the point of guidelines. When we are in relationship, sometimes we think of guidelines or rules or expectations as, yeah, and you better follow the rules. I do. Like, I have gone into situations where I feel safe because there's rules, and because I'm an ACA, or I think everybody's going to follow them. No, that's not how it works, unfortunately. And that's because I lived in an external locus of control where I was focused on what everyone else was doing rather than on what I was doing, which is part of the reason I was so susceptible or vulnerable to something happening to me, because I'm too busy watching what everybody else is doing and I don't know what I'm doing or what my body needs until it's too late. And so, especially in my groups and my workshops or with me, I have challenged those that have worked with me. Yeah, the guidelines aren't for you and him or you and her. The guidelines are for you and you, because that's the only one I can control and I have any power over. And unfortunately, that didn't go over real well with Coop. And I said, yeah, we can't control what he does. Coop is my 9-year-old. Yeah, we can't control what he does. We can only control what I do, and you can only control what you do. And he did not like that at all, because it didn't feel safe, and he wanted me to do something for him. And he walked out, and I kind of, oh. If you're familiar with the guidelines that we use in groups and workshops, some of them are ask for what I need, assume positive intent, ask for a break, ask for help, speak in the I. It's okay to use boundaries and say no. No is a complete sentence. Have that awareness, that behavior again won't go unseen. Like if that hits somewhere in your body. In many ways, I witnessed and it was modeled for me to be powerless, because then it was easier to control me. That doesn't have to be intentional. And maybe it was for different reasons. When my mom or dad could look at me and control me by their look, like didn't have to say anything to me, there was just a look. And it would almost be like a drill sergeant. All four of us were like at attention. And I make up, if my dad or my mom were to hear me say that today, that they would feel a lot of shame about that. Like, they would not be proud of that. And in that moment, whatever that was happening that they needed to control was rooted in their fear. My mom and dad had a lack of safety in their body, which is what creates the need to control. Now, I'm not justifying and I'm not rationalizing anything. In my story, that's how I experienced it. And if that colors anything in for you, the opportunity to see how in some of my shadow work, being powerless served me. I can look back as an adult and I can look at situations where I played dumb so somebody could teach me. I did. Because it was a codependent thing and it's how I felt like I could show up, and they thought they were in control, but it was really me. I felt unsafe, and that was a way that I could feel safer. Not proud of that, and that's why it's called shadow work. But when I'm taught to be powerless so that I'm easier to control, I want you to think about what that does to our nervous system. And I want you to think about the way that I stay powerless is because I'm in this external locus of control. I'm watching everyone else. I'm living like outside of my body. My team and I have a joke. It's dark humor. I hope no one takes offense to this, but in our world, we have to have dark humor. Research shows that's really healthy. I checked in team not too long ago and I was like, my body's out in the front yard. Like, I'm here, but I'm not here. Like, as in I was dissociated, and I was so dissociated, my body's like out there somewhere. Like she's running around like a chicken. And that's what it felt like. Like I was so detached because of something that happened. And when I stay externally focused, I stay powerless. When I'm in my body and I'm feeling my feels and I recognize my body saying to me, this is bad, something's wrong, get away, I get away. I keep me safe. I know that's a very foundational example, and apply it to all the other ones. Not just in, unfortunately, all the crazy things that are going on in the world, but also with when something feels bad, I get off the phone. If someone I love is spiraling and I'm trying to support and everything I'm saying and doing isn't working, I say, I'm so sorry, I love you, and I need to end this. Can we connect later? Like, I need out. I need to protect me and feel safe because this is triggering me. So just the idea of guidelines are what give me my power back, but it's only because I agree to show up with them. It's no one's job to keep me safe. And much like when I ask you to speak in the I, not just to own your own story, but to also own your recovery, when I speak in the I am owning my power. I can't do this. I don't want to. I need a break. All of that is me if I need to. And I'm listening to my body. I'm responding to my body. And I'm really doing the opposite of what was done to me. Because in all those little examples, as a little one, which is why I feel small when it happens to me, it was at attention with a smile on my face. Or if we were in dresses, our legs were crossed. Like, it was just known. No one ever told me to do that, but we just knew to do it. And now I don't do any of those things. And I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. I think so too. Again, I wish I could have planned that, but the idea of noticing sometimes when our feelings feel so big, I feel like I need a tool that feels that big. Mm-mm. When I walk into a kindergarten class and they're really loud and I start whispering, what happens? They all want to know what I'm saying, so they stop talking. So sometimes it's the little tools that still work with the big things. So even though my feelings feel big, it doesn't have to be this really big, confusing tool. Sometimes it's, am I showing up in my guidelines? Am I keeping me safe? Did I say no? I said yes when I meant no. I'm agreeing to these guidelines. I'm showing up in my power. And I don't have to live in powerlessness or be controlled anymore.